Hey everyone, Rarity Dash here. Time for another Patreon-sponsored blind reaction. And this one comes to you courtesy of Josiah the Game King, who has requested that I react to Joshscorcher's review of Fame and Misfortune. So yeah, another Joshscorcher review, and this time we're talking Fame and Misfortune, one of my all-time favorite episodes of MLP. So that should be fun. I really like that episode. Definitely, definitely top 10. I don't know if it's quite top 5, but it's definitely within my top 10, I would say. And just an episode I've really liked ever since I first saw it, because it's just so just so interesting. I mean, it's so all the enjoyable meta humor and little shots at the fan base. It's fun. It's bold. I mean, you wouldn't really expect a show like MLP to do that kind of thing, and I think it does it really well. And there's just so many so many amusing cracks that it makes that it's just kind of hilarious. Really funny episode, and it builds to one of, in my opinion, the best songs in the series with Flawless, which I really love. And yeah, just the whole thing is great, and definitely one of the standout episodes of the series. So yeah, interested to see what Josh has to say, and hopefully it's a good review. Let's go ahead and get this started. Here we go. A Fiery Joker production.
Hi, this is the Fiery Joker. So, a little background.
Oh.
I say that a lot. Season 7 of MLP seemed to be a bit more pandery than previous seasons, making episodes that spoke to the adult brony audiences more than the little fillies watching. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, mind you. After all, if they're addressing a fairly vocal portion of their fan base to appeal to them, isn't that a good thing? I mean, it worked very well in Slice of Life, which is basically a love letter to the fandom for being as weird and creative as it is. I'm just observing that scenarios like the ones in Stranger Than Fanfiction, Once Upon a Zeppelin, and even Fame and Misfortune seem a bit more relatable to those who produce pony content and or go to cons on a regular basis, as opposed to the kids at home who watch the show while eating their Apple Jacks. But in Fame and Misfortune, well, let's be generous and say that the episode was polarizing at best. The writer for this episode, M.A. Larson, is the same writer for Slice of Life. And M.A. Larson has since disowned this episode as not the one he wanted to write.
He still wrote it, though.
What you watched,
yeah.
But none of it is my ideas. I don't agree with the ideas. I thought the episode was very mean-spirited. If you want to know how I feel about the fandom, watch Slice of Life.
I'd recommend taking a look at the entire panel. He presents a very interesting look into what it's like being a writer for the show and what went into making this episode. But you're not here to see me kiss up to M.A. Larson. You're here to see something get nitpicked to death. So, here we go.
I'm here because someone paid me $20.
So this episode is a fight between two fillies, and I'm not feeling the color scheme on them.
Yeah, they're kind of weird.
Rula, whose color scheme was directly lifted from her G3 appearance.
Well,
I don't know how much I love G3, just can't get enough of it. I just love it so much and I want it.
Oh.
Thank you. But Twilight pulls them over and talks to them.
So you see, friendship isn't always easy, but there's no doubt it's worth fighting for.
Twilight, phrasing. They just came out of a fight. Did you not see the great ice cream war going on? Those were the exact words she used from the season 2 premiere, which gives her a case of deja vu, and she runs home to check her library.
This is the friendship journal my friends and I used to keep. It's filled with all the things we've learned.
And occasionally forgot about.
Which one? The lessons or the journal?
Yes.
My little pony, my little...
Oh.
Twilight gathers the rest of the main 6 to the castle to show them what she found, and it's very apparent who wrote what. Fluttershy's entries are tiny yet accommodating. Rarity's is done in calligraphy. Applejack accidentally left an apple schmutz in her pages, and...
I found Pinky's page.
Yeah, no real complaints here, just a couple funny jokes. The real surprise comes when the Twin Lights reveal that they made brand new copies of the journal.
I learned this spell years ago when I needed to make copies of a certain... manifesto.
Communism!
Glorious.
And to add to the surprise, Twilight suggests publishing the journal so that ponies all over Equestria can read about their adventures and learn from their mistakes as well. Now, this is a good idea on paper, allowing others to benefit from their mistakes. However, it takes away the trial and error aspect of relationships. Friendships aren't perfect because we aren't perfect, and having problems in our relationships help us grow as both friends and people. So having what basically amounts to a cheat sheet for any problems that may come up may actually hinder a relationship because they never actually develop those problem-solving skills for themselves. This is a show for cartoon ponies. Why am I going this deep?
That's what she said.
Remember this one? For when I helped Daring Do? Never underestimate the power of
The Scout's Code. I'll see myself out. Some time passes, and the journals seem to have spread to most every pony in Equestria. Twilight comes across Tula and Coconut Cream fighting again, and recommends they go read one of Rainbow's lessons.
You might want to take a breather. Maybe read Rainbow Dash's chapter on Rainbow Falls.
I hear it's quite polarizing. Then
Yeah.
the CMC come up and say that the books have not only made them popular, but they also had an idea.
We were thinking of putting together a Cutie Mark summer camp. Now every pony's definitely gonna sign up for it. This is gonna be awesome.
Should I make another communism joke here? Because, camp, gulag, it kind of makes it...
Yeah, but the purpose of the journal isn't supposed to be marketing.
Oh yeah, pay attention to that line. It's really gonna bite this episode in the butt later. At the cafe, Twilight runs into some ponies who seem to hate Rarity for no good reason.
I only wish they'd left Rarity out. She clearly doesn't belong in that book with the
Worst
rest of them.
ponies.
Oh, I know. Who does she think she is? Certainly she did a fine job setting up the Ponyville Days celebration, but does she really believe it was a success just because of her? The nerve!
First of all, how dare you hate Best Pony? Best
Yes.
Pony does everything best. That's why they're Best Pony. Second, how dare you make Best Pony?
Yes.
Okay, on a more serious note, that was really brutal. Rarity a little snooty sometimes, but she has a generous spirit and a genuine concern for others. She does not deserve to be treated like that. But then again, even nice people get treated like that, so I guess it's true to life. But the best part of this is that Starlight sounds like she's actually going to hurt me for being mean to Rarity. Look at that face. That is not the face of mercy.
I'm gonna have a chat with these two.
This is why Starlight is second best
Someone
pony.
be losing their cutie march today. Makes me feel all warm inside.
Quick little editor's note, I love this look from Twilight here. It reminds me of that look Queen Gorgo gave to King Leonidas before he killed the Persian messengers in the movie 300. You have my permission to fuck their shit up.
Turns out Pinkie Pie has a growing fan base of peeps who seem to find everything that she says hilarious, even when it's not.
Aw, that's too bad. Wait, that wasn't even funny. Yep, bye Twilight.
Classic Pinkie. Oh, she's even funnier in real life.
I'm really bad for laughing at that.
No, that's a great moment. That's hilarious.
The journal was a mistake and comes across Rainbow Dash next, who is being hounded by fans. And despite being a glutton for attention, even this is becoming too much for her. And next on the chopping block, Twilight comes across a group of ponies hounding after Fluttershy and making her really uncomfortable. And while normally I get a little annoyed with how often she gets shy and anxious in certain situations, yeah, this one is completely understandable. They're borderline attacking her.
I wanna know why Fluttershy keeps learning the same thing over and over.
And then we have this.
Tired of already.
Even I've learned more than she has. Why can't I be in the book?
You can see where the episode's going, can't you? This episode is one giant take that towards bronies, specifically the more critical side, with the journal representing the show and the townsfolk representing the fandom. We'll get to each individual point as they come, but for now, this question regarding Fluttershy's need to repeat a lesson is one that's been asked by a lot of fans over the years. The episode's response?
Listen up, I am more suited. And yes, it took me a while to get there. But can you honestly say that you could learn something one time and completely change who you are? I didn't think so.
That's a very valid reason. That's
Yeah.
very true to people in real life. Sometimes we keep making the same mistakes over and over, or have to learn a new way of thinking or behaving slowly, and that's fair. A lot of times we do have flaws that don't just go away after one experience. Sometimes we do learn to overcome them, but sometimes we never stop doing it because we're flawed humans. Sometimes the flaw is just core to who we are, and outside of brainwashing, we would have to just live with it. Sometimes our flaw is a mental illness that we have to learn to adapt our lives and behaviors around. The most we can do is keep trying and apologize when we fail, knowing our friends and family will always support us. I have to give the writers credit. They made me like Fluttershy a little bit more. As a person. As a character in a serialized episodic TV show, using the whole last verse same as the first storylines that they use for the majority of the main 6 is still pretty annoying.
Wow. You're way different from the Fluttershy in the book. I don't know how I feel about that.
They come to complain about how flawed Fluttershy is in the book, then question the idea that she is different in person? This just goes to show that sometimes audiences don't really know what they want. Like the Zelda fandom. So Twilight goes to check on Rarity, and she is understanding
here we go.
Aside from people nastily gossiping about her,
all the meme face
affecting her business.
When I overheard those two at the cafe, I suddenly understood why I've been getting cancellations for days.
What? Why are ponies canceling their orders?
Because no pony likes me anymore.
Aww.
They're boycotting me.
Well, if this is too stressful for you, you could always go and design wedding cakes. So as Rarity stress sews, because apparently that's a thing, Applejack bursts into Rarity's shop with 100 blankets.
I'm popular, Twilight. I'm popular and I don't like it one bit. They call themselves the Sweet Apple Admirers. They say they read my journal entries and they felt like a part of the family. And now they actually want to become part of the family.
I mean, this is more positive than the other experiences.
Yeah?
You know, being laughed at, being attacked, being hounded by fans, being outright boycotted. I'd say troublesome squatters aren't really that bad considering. And I'm glad that these ponies are focusing on the good things about friendship. You know, like the closeness and how fulfilling friendship and family are, rather than the negatives for at least one of the main 6.
You go ahead. I'll stay here.
Okay, gotta say, Starlight is being an absolute bro this episode. She sternly lectures the rude couple at the cafe, levitates Fluttershy's hecklers out of the way, and she's staying at the shop to keep Rarity's torment at bay. Huh, I'm a regular Dr. Seuss. After seeing how the journal has negatively affected her friends, Twilight is contemplating what has happened despite her good intentions.
Oh boy. Window staring, huh? Was it that bad at Sweet Apple Acres?
Total bro!
If I hadn't had that big idea to make copies, none of this would be happening! I'm afraid I made life awful for my friends! How could our friendship journal have led to so much anti-friendship?
I feel your pain. I said to unconditionally love each other and treat people you don't like with kindness and care. And they killed me for it.
Yeah, if love each other can be misconstrued to start a holy war, I don't think anyone's message, no matter how benevolent, is truly safe from being twisted. By the way, I love you, Jesus.
Joshua Burner.
You think you've got problems?
Real name.
I know I'm awesome, but I can't even go to the bathroom without some pony trying to tell me how cool I am.
Another toilet joke 5 seasons later. That's restraint. So Twilight tries to engage the townsfolk in civilized discussion.
Don't often go there
What I
for
mean
MLP.
is, some ponies would argue that it doesn't seem believable that the 6 of you would be friends.
Believable?
Well, sure. I read this journal cover to cover, and I have to say your character would have been much more interesting if she'd stayed in Canterlot.
My character? We are real ponies. This journal is a record of things that actually happened to us.
Hasbro? Are you under the delusion that your characters are real?
I mean,
You're trying to put forth the metaphor that the journal represents the show because a lot of what these detractors say are criticisms that the fandom has made. But newsflash, we're talking about fantasy pastel colored ponies having adventures
in the context
in a
of
magical land,
the episode.
not real people in the real world.
I'm curious.
Oh,
how comfortable
hey,
is
Linkara.
your head when it's shoved so far up your own ass?
The metaphor doesn't work if you use it like that. I mean, it could work if you were telling us that there are real people behind artistic creations, so being harshly critical and rude to these people is wrong. And that's a totally fair message. We on the internet tend to treat people as the devil for an honest mistake or a faux pas. We need to be careful when calling out individuals for criticism because, believe it or not, there's a real person on the other side. Oh wait. That's the episode that M.A. Larson wanted to write, and you didn't let him!
There's somebody else on the other side of these things you're tweeting or Facebooking or whatever it is. And I thought there was a really relevant message for kids and really sweet and had the heart of the show. And everybody was like, no, that's not what we're doing. We're doing the one where they're assholes.
Okay, to be fair, I do understand why they wanted to make this episode. We do have quite a few entitled brats in this fandom who are very cruel to the show staff. I remember when someone publicly harassed Dave Polsky at a convention Q&A session. And let's not forget the meltdown people had with Alicorn Twilight. I know we like to think that the Brony fandom is some sort of exception to the rule, a great bastion of friendship and love, but it's filled with people who are imperfect. Sure, the majority are pretty decent people, but on the other hand, we get entitled, we get defensive and critical. And like the townsfolk here, we don't always share our opinions very tactfully. We are human, no denying that, but the problem I have is what the episode appears to be blaming here. It's putting all of the fault squarely on the fans.
It's not your fault. It's every pony else's. They're just focusing on the wrong things.
Okay, that excuse doesn't fly. Publishing the journal was a good idea on paper, and I agree that everyone is focusing on the wrong things. The journal was meant to help friendship not turn into this fustercluck. But here's the thing, outside of fascism, you can't control what others think. People are going to draw whatever conclusions they want, and when you put yourself out there to the public, that's the risk you take. And yes, fans may be imperfect, but guess what? The people who make the things in the first place are equally as flawed. Communication is a two-way street, and I'm going against a point I made in an earlier video because real life has shown me otherwise. If you say something and it can be taken two ways and one of them makes the other person sad or angry, it doesn't matter if you meant it the other way. The intent is always nice, but we all need to be careful what we say and be as clear as possible, especially if your voice has a widespread influence. I still stand by my opinion on Feeling Pinky Keen. I liked this episode, and I personally thought it had a great message. Try to understand, but if you can't, learn to be okay with that. That was because the episode itself didn't communicate its message in a way so that everyone could understand. Now, sometimes people are deliberately missing the point, and by all means call them out when it happens, but more often than not, it's the fault of the communicator.
Our point was just misunderstood.
Ah, but since it's your show, that's on you. You should have been clearer.
If that many people misread our argument, that means we should have done a better job explaining it. Doing nuance on TV is hard, but that's my job, so in the future, I'll try to be better.
Another thing that rubs me the wrong way is that the show seems to be trying to place itself on a pedestal, like saying it's above criticism.
Yeah, but the purpose of the journal isn't supposed to be marketing.
Really? And this is where the journal as representative of the show metaphor falls apart. Yes, I can agree that the journal wasn't supposed to be about marketing, but if you expect me to believe that this show wasn't created to help sell toys, then I think you need to get out of the cactus juice. We're not idiots. We can tell when certain plot elements are added to the show for the sake of selling toys or just marketing stunts. Just look at Equestria Girls for Pete's sake. So then we get a musical number about treating people kindly despite their faults.
We're not flawless.
Great song.
We're a work in progress. We got dents and we've got quirks, but it's our flaws that make us work.
Great message, guys. Seriously. But I do have to ask this question, though. Who is this moral for? Seriously, who are you talking to with this? The detractors? No one in the fandom is under the delusion that these characters actually exist. To remind the main six that they're imperfect? They already know that. The kiddies at home to show them that they are imperfect and still have things that they need to work on? Well, yeah, that's an excellent moral. But the message of the song and the plot of the episode aren't congruent. How are they supposed to learn the moral when you don't set up a scenario where it actually applies? It would have been better had this just been a standalone song or had it been in a different episode, honestly. It also doesn't help that after the song is done, everyone continues to bicker, showing that everyone who criticizes the show is unreasonable. Yeah, screw that noise. Now, maybe this episode isn't trying to say that, but that's what it's coming off as, at least to me, and that only goes back to what I was saying earlier about misconstrued messages. Oh, and if you thought that was rock bottom, check this out. It's shown later in the episode that the only two ponies who get it are the children, who are colored like previous generation MLP ponies. Now, they probably didn't mean it this way, but that seems to be saying that the only people who are allowed to enjoy the show are the children.
Yeah.
Like, it's not for us, so we can't criticize it. Okay, ignoring the fact that you are never entitled to only receive good comments, you still make reference to things like the Communist Manifesto that would fly over the heads of younger people, so you clearly recognize the adult audience. You should never tell someone that they can't have an opinion. You could tell them to present it more courteously, or you could tell them that they're missing crucial information, but to deny someone their own thoughts is disrespectful and dehumanizing. So there's a friendship huggy hug moment, Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy have a good message, there's another jab at the detractors, and that was Fame and Misfortune. Wow, this episode rubbed me the wrong way. This could have been an amazing episode. Instead, we got the show whining about its fanbase for complaining about legitimate problems like the rinse and repeat storytelling and criticizing them for enjoying certain aspects of the show too much or too little. Thankfully, not all of the Season 7 episodes do this. In fact, many of them celebrate the fandom and speak about positive messages for both the kids and the adults. But this one is a sticking point for many reasons. Don't get me wrong, there are some great things about it. I did like how they made Starlight incredibly likable and helpful in this. Fluttershy became more relatable on a personal level, the song's standalone message was really good, and the episode itself is fairly humorous. But the overall message behind Fame and Misfortune and the allegory they're going for is inconsistent and really harsh. Overall, this episode's just a giant mess. I'm the Fiery Joker. And if anyone dares hate on Best Pony again, fight me.
Well, there it goes. So yeah, he seemed to have a less favorable opinion as compared to me, which is fine. Everyone's entitled to think what they want, but I don't know. I know I have heard M.A. Larson's comments about the episode. But just because he's not really satisfied with it doesn't mean he didn't turn out something pretty good. I mean, often the artist isn't really satisfied with their own work. And I think it could just be that he's a bit too nice a guy to realize what he had here. Yeah, I mean, I think we're maybe taking it a bit too seriously. I just the metaphor it's there clearly, but it doesn't have to be one for one really. I just it's not quite how it works. I think. I mean, yeah. I don't know. It's it does. I mean, some of these are pretty valid points, but like, it's just a fun episode. I mean, if you really are going to get mad about it, that's I think on you more than anything. Because I mean, I don't think it even shows. It's like not even saying that all the fans are this or that. A lot of them did understand. I mean, we made a point of that with Applejack. And I mean, they were hounding and harassing like Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie, really, but they appreciated them. They liked them. Rarity got abused and Fluttershy, but it was kind of more of a mixed bag. The thing was, it created this fervor and expectation, and that's really what it was about. Just this sense of expectation, I think. And that's why the song kind of fits. I mean, the metaphor is nice because it allows all that great meta humor. But it doesn't necessarily all have to come down to that. It's a bit more multifaceted, I think. I don't know. I like it. I think it's fun. And most of the things we had problems with here, I think are pretty funny in their own way. Just yeah. I mean, it was a fine review. The points he made were decent ones. Just, I think were you just got to be a bit more resilient and not take this so seriously. That's kind of the whole point. Just, it's not even that you can't criticize it, I would say. It's more just,
Time for the spectacle, time for the show. The lights are bright and the colors glow. I'm not just any pony, I think you know. The time is now, it's about to blow.